seems like I had it wrong all along. I should have been with FanDuel this whole time. I'm tripping.
Yeah, you probably still be making some money out here getting it done and doing your doggone thing, man. But check this out, D. When you think about the pressures that come with being a starting quarterback in the NFL, I think Desmond Ridder is that guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's probably speaks to what he's going to have to deal with this year because he was named the starter. And I think Taylor Heineke kind of leaked it out, kind of, spilled the beans, so to speak. Like, I'm coming in here to be the backup. Like, that's what they told me. It was just like, oh. And then Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot then finally confirmed that he was going to be QB1. So I don't think that's not where we're going today because we understand the pressures and everything that comes with it. But
correct.
What I want to ask you is, I want to talk about is the fact that who do you think has the most pressure coming into the 2023 season on the offensive side of football outside of Desmond Ridder?
Oh, I love that you asked me this question because it might not be who you think it is.
Okay.
It's not Bijan Robinson.
Okay.
It's not.
Okay.
It's Mathews Bergeron, the rookie. It's Mathews Bergeron. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why, Jarvis. Not only is he switching positions, obviously he was mainly a tackle over there at Syracuse with the orange.
Right.
But he is moving inside to left guard, as we all know. He's talked about it. The coaches have talked about it. Terry's talked about it. He is, right now, you can't put it in pen, but you can put it in pencil that he's going to be the starting left guard. All indications point that he's going to be the starting left guard. So not only is he a rookie who is looking to start, and the Falcons are looking at him to start, but he's going to be starting at a new position. Now, they do say it's easier to move from tackle to guard than from guard to tackle, which I would agree with. I mean, most people say that. Yeah. You're a lineman yourself. You can attest to that. You can either way. But not only is he coming in to start at a position he's never played, but it's also at a position where the Atlanta Falcons need somebody to bring in some continuity. They just need to know who their left guard is. Jarvis, when's the last time they went into the season knowing who their starting left guard is going to be? Because I can't remember. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. It's been a minute.
This regime hasn't been able to say that. And that was one of the reasons why I would have been okay if the Falcons would have drafted an offensive lineman in the first round. I had no issues with that whatsoever. I would have totally understood if they would have traded back, and picked up a guard, Osiris Torrance out of Florida. He was a projected first-round pick, I think, on that back half of the draft. Some of those guys like that. Skoronsky, he was a guy that was projected to go to the Falcons right there at 8. So, and I think that was a little bit too rich for my blood, to take him right there.
I'm with you.
So that I kind of understand why he went the way he went. Excuse me, in the draft. But I think that them having somebody that for a fact who is going to be there. And here's the thing, I think this is an excellent pick because I actually like Mathews Bergeron. I got a chance to check out some of his film. The guy has really good balance. I think that he's strong enough where because at the end of the day, a lot of times when a guy moves from that tackle to guard spot, you're talking about the opportunity to make a mistake is much quicker at that guard spot. You know what I mean? And you're closer to the quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, you can get away with certain things at that tackle spot that you can't get away in that guard spot because, like picture that you're in a phone booth with somebody and you get into a fight. That's exactly what a guard does for 60 minutes on Sundays. Like, you basically get into a fight in a phone booth. So when you think about being able to have that quick twitch kind of response and reaction to what the defensive lineman is trying to do, those are some of the things that are a little bit more important than they are at that left tackle spot. Now, you got to have excellent footwork regardless. Right. You know what I mean? On the outside, because those where the money makers are. If you're blocking the guys that making the most money on the defensive side of the football, hey, that's an important position. So I think that him sliding down there, I think it's going to be very interesting. I think he's going to have a lot of pressure, but here's where I'm going with it. Here's where I'm going with that. I don't think Bergeron got a lot of pressure. Absolutely, a wholehearted agree. But here's the guy that I feel like really has the pressure on. The dude that was drafted in 2021, 4th overall. Mr. Kyle Pitts, the guy who is the highest drafted tight end in NFL history.
Okay.
Imagine what I said. Think about all of the great tight ends that we've seen, in our lifetime. Like I'm talking about Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, all those guys, just amazing guys, right? Those guys weren't even drafted nowhere near where Kyle Pitts was drafted.
Nowhere near.
So when you think about the type of pressure, then last year, he gets hurt. And to be honest with you, Dylan, I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass last year because he was playing with Marcus Mariota.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're a big fan or not. If you were a big fan of Marcus Mariota last year, that's all. I apologize, but Marcus Mariota missed Kyle Pitts so much last year, much, and it was just like, and I know for a fact that he was truly frustrated. But yeah.
I just saw a highlight reel too. It's funny you bring it up. I saw a highlight reel. Well, I guess it's a low light reel in this case.
Yeah, super low.
Kyle Pitts was wide open, and then Marcus Mariota, just missing him, just high outside.
6'6", bro. Like how you?
How are you missing this man? And Jarvis like
NBA basketball wingspan.
Come
on,
dude is open. Like dude is open. Like dude's usually not that open. Dude is open, and Marcus is just missing.
Yeah.
So to your point, I definitely understand where you're coming from as far as Kyle Pitts goes, because now that you have, hopefully a more accurate quarterback, you can't get much more inaccurate than Marcus, but I'm gonna leave that there.
With you.
But
agreed.
Desmond Ridder should be definitely a more capable passer than Marcus Mariota. So Kyle Pitts, the way we saw you open against Marcus Mariota, against teams last year with Marcus Mariota throwing to you, we need to see you open that same amount of times, but we need to see you hauling in catches this time. Desmond Ridder should be much better at getting you the ball, so we need to see you open just like you were, reeling in the ball and reeling in touchdowns. Again, like you said, give you a pass last year. You had Marcus throwing to you, got injured. But this year, we need to see what your yardage was in your rookie year, but your touchdowns need to be up there too. So looking at close to double-digit touchdowns with the weapons that the Falcons have now, I'm not going to be mad if Kyle Pitts doesn't have double-digit touchdowns, just because I think Desmond will do a good job of spreading it to Drake, because we saw at the end of last year has a great relationship.
There's something there. It's something there. It's something there between he and Drake.
Right.
Light-skinned brothers sticking together over there, dog.
They got to, man. Us light skins got to stick together. You know how
Absolutely.
I go. They be trying to sometimes, Jarvis. They be trying to.
The beige boys be catching hell sometimes, dog. So yeah.
No reason, Jarvis. I'm out here for a beige boy sometimes, man. In all seriousness, no. But as long as he's somewhere in that 8 to 10 range, and again, if he's near the yardage that he had in his rookie season, I'm gonna be all good with Kyle Pitts. But the touchdowns have to be in that 8 to 10 range, or higher, of course. And then that yardage needs to be up where it was near his rookie season. And maybe not quite at a clips in 1,000, but close to it, just because I think they are going to do a better job of spreading the ball around with all the weapons that they have this season.
All right, yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on when he returns. Because, I don't know if I necessarily like the fact that he was seen limping around at Flowery Branch. You know what I'm saying?
And that wasn't no slight limp, too. That was it was gimpy.
Very, very gimpy. So those are some of the things that I'm going to keep an eye on as far as, okay, when will he return? And then once he returns, how long is it going to take him to get acclimated to, getting back on the field and getting back into the mix of things? But real quick, though, I got to ask you this. Who do you think has the most pressure on the defensive side of the football?
Ooh, that's a good question. Most pressure on the defensive side of the ball. You know what? I think it has to be Jeff Okudah. I think it has to be Jeff.
Ooh,
I think got to be Jeff.
First year with the team.
There's a couple other options out there, but I say Jeff because of this. I really think this is his last real chance at getting a good, sizable contract. He's on a 1-year deal. We know just because of the stipulations of the trade, the Falcons could not pick up his 5th-year option even if they wanted to. So this is a 1-year deal.
They probably weren't going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There was no reason for them to do it either way.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a 1-year deal for Jeff. And, this is a guy, he played last year. He had a solid season last year. But other than that, he hasn't been able to be on the field. So he hasn't been able to perform like the 3rd overall pick he was in 2020. So I think this is a real prove-it year for him, and he's got to show out. Otherwise, he might end up being just one of those guys that becomes maybe a little bit of a journeyman, and he might have a little bit hard of a time finding a long-term home. So I think the pressure's on Jeff Okudah. And look, you got a solid pass rush in front of you now. That should help you out in the back end. You got A.J. Terrell on the other side of you. Mike Hughes should be solid in the slot. Maybe even Clark Phillips ends up in that slot position. We'll see. But you got good defensive backs alongside you. You have a good defensive line to help you out as well. And then we'll see what the linebackers are looking like, but they shouldn't be, nothing to sneeze at either. So you have the talent around you. So now you got to perform and show us why you were the 3rd overall pick again in 2020. So I think the pressure's on Jeff Okudah this season.
I think from a personal standpoint, I think that pressure is there, right? Because like when you said, I'm looking at it from a Falcons defensive standpoint. Like if Okudah stays healthy, he's
should be good.
10 times, 7, 8, 9, 10 times better than what they were lining up out there. Cornell Armstrong, God bless him. Like, yeah, but yeah, like he doesn't need to be started because at the end of the day, because like here's what happened last year when offensive teams came to the line of scrimmage last year against the Falcons. Oh, 2-4 over there, he right there. I'm going over here. I'm automatically going over here. Like, and they're and teams picked on them constantly. Opposite of A.J. Terrell. A.J. Terrell was out for a little bit too. So, and what it was. It was a free-for-all once A.J. Terrell went down last year. So,
like I said, that's Cincinnati game. I mean, Cornell Armstrong still having nightmares about Jamar Chase.
Bro, he still lost, bro. He's still running. Cornell Armstrong still running right now as we speak, dog. Like, he ain't even got to practice, this week. They got coming up on Wednesday because he's still trying to chase Jamar Chase, dog. So, I think that, I don't think that it's that high with him, but I do believe that there's some personal pressures that he's going to be dealing with this year. And I think a lot of times it's just basically him just staying healthy because when you get drafted that high, man, there's talent there. You know what I mean? It's just he just had to stay on the field, and unfortunately, he didn't do that in Detroit. But real quick, I gotta tell you this, man. The guy that I feel
yours is. Yeah,
man, it's Arnie Ebiketie. Like, absolutely. Because T and I talked about, like, how Lorenzo Carter, he was a starter last year, fine. And I said before the season was over with, I was like, Lorenzo Carter does not need to be a starter on this team. He is a solid rotational guy to come in on 3rd and long. And they dropped, I think CBS Sports dropped a projected starter lineup maybe about a week ago or so. I think last week. Yeah. And they had Lorenzo Carter starting. And basically like on a 3rd down situation, like nickel type package. And I was just like, if Lorenzo Carter is starting on 3rd and long, or if he's out there on 3rd and long, the Falcons are in trouble. And because Arnie Ebiketie has to be that guy. On 3rd and long, he's at one of those end spots. He has to be. Because Calais Campbell, you can slide him down in that D tackle spot, and you kind of work some things with Onyemata and rotate Grady Jarrett and all that stuff. You can work that rotation, but I feel like your 2nd round pick from the previous year should show some growth or take that 2nd year jump to let you know that, hey, this guy was worth that pick. And I think AK, he showed some flashes last year, but this is the year that I feel like he has to really jump into it and own it.
I completely agree with that, and I want to pick your brain, but before I do that, I will say this. Arnold Ebiketie, you talked about him having flashes last year. I think he did have a lot of flashes, and he was really good at spots. It felt like a lot of times he would get there, like he would be in the mix.
He was real close.
He just couldn't finish. He just couldn't make that final play. He couldn't make that final hit and get the quarterback or the running back on the ground either for a sack or a tackle for loss. But let me pick your brain about this, because last year, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I may be, but did we not see a lot of Arnold Ebiketie on one side and Lorenzo Carter on the other side? I mean, could we see a more of that this year to where maybe they both end up being starters? Or should we see a D'Angelo Malone and Arnold Ebiketie in that role? My other question is, and I guess this may be the main question, do you see them being more outside linebacker types or them more hand in the dirt edge guys, like a true edge like Calais Campbell? What role do you see those guys in Arnold Ebiketie and Lorenzo Carter playing this season?
I think Ebiketie and I think D'Angelo Malone, to answer that question, I feel like those guys are going to be guys that are going to come in on 3rd down. Okay. And they're going to figure out to play them in spots because we all know. And to go back to the whole Ryan Nielsen hire, right? Like we know he comes from a 4-3 base system. Arthur Smith is not going to tell you exactly what they're going to run.
For sure.
When you look at the additions in Calais Campbell, he's playing edge / defensive end, whatever you want to refer to him as. He played he's the last line of defense on up front with his hand in the dirt.
Correct.
Let's just refer to it as that.
Simple
so we can kind of keep it simple. You know what I'm saying? So, that obviously I feel like that's what they're trying to move towards. You see that they drafted Zach Harrison in the 3rd round.
Right.
You don't draft guys in the 3rd round who you don't think can eventually start for you. He's a guy that's 6'5", 6'6", 275. So, that kind of tells me where they're going. You know what I mean? And obviously you can't do that in the first year because you've drafted guys like D'Angelo Malone and Arnold Ebiketie. And here's going to be the key right here, Dylan. The key is take a look at how big those guys come back at. Like I'm planning on going out there on Wednesday. That's the plan. Hopefully I can be able to get out there and go get a chance to take a look at those guys. But I'm going to be looking at body types. The Arnold Ebiketie put on some weight. Yeah. D'Angelo Malone put on some weight. We know he struggled with putting on weight. I talked to him last year. Guy out of DeKalb County from Decatur, went to Cedar Grove. So he talked about how he was eating peanut butter sandwiches, what I'm saying, trying to doggone pack that weight on, you know what I mean? So I think that's going to be the indicator as to what the Falcons are going to try to do in year 1 as Ryan Nielsen as the defensive coordinator. But before we get out of here, D, my mind started to churn a little bit last night when I was watching NBA playoffs, and I want to throw a scenario.
I love scenario.
I got a scenario for you. And I want you guys to stick around for what that scenario is as well. But first, I want to give a quick thank you, quick shout out to all our everydayers, all the people who've been coming to us each and every day, Monday through Friday with ATL Day Ones. You guys have been rocking with us. We're almost at 7,000 subscribers. We really appreciate you guys for that. That's the only reason we're here is because of you. We thank you. And the only reason we're sticking around and still got jobs is because of you. So, keep coming, keep liking, keep subscribing to our channel. And if you're ever there, drop it in the comment box, and we will make sure we'll shout you out as well.